Chapter 20, So Does Season. So in this chapter, we're talking about seasons. The chapter opens with Foster's favorite sonnet made by Shakespeare. And basically, the reason he likes Shakespeare is because he makes apparent what was already there, the seasonal references that Shakespeare ties in. He's very adamant about that Shakespeare didn't make these references, but he just used them very well. And so, kind of two that he wanted to highlight for Shakespeare here, or two he wanted to highlight was summer, being passion and love, and winter mean anger and hatred. So in this example he gives of this character named Daisy and this dude named Mr. Mentorborn, and kind of their personalities reflect both like she's bubbly, flirtatious, and all that, and he's just kind of cold, dark, doesn't talk to people, really into himself. And so over the book, hey, things are going to work out between these two, and that's you can inference, or you can make that assumption based on both their names and the references to the seasons that they represent, and that's exactly kind of how the book goes. So by understanding the season, you get to know that extra knowledge and meaning out of the book before you even read it. Sometimes the season is not directly given. This was really nice by Robert Frost. He writes a poem, but he never tells you the season, but he calls it apple picking season. So we know it's picking and harvesting, which means autumn. And so sometimes the poet won't tell you, the author won't tell you exactly what the season is, but using some deductive skills is pretty easy to figure it out sometimes. Writers can also not go with the usual season flow, but switch up and to be ironic. So maybe her name is Daisy, but she is angry and hateful, and Mr. Winterbourne is full of passion and love, is bubbly, over the top, and kind of stuff like that. So sometimes the writers will play with the usual assumption of what they're supposed to be to have a little fun. Let's see. Stories explain seasonal change origin. Okay, so like I said at the beginning, Shakespeare didn't come up with these seasonal relationships. Really, he talks about how these stories have been going on for thousands of years, kind of starting with the Greek, or the first one we have written down, but even if you go to the American Indians or cultures like that, they have stories to explain both, why the sun goes up and down, but then after that, why is there winter? And so he goes into the Greek story about that, and then how that kind of develops a cycle of stories and meaning of this death, rebirth, growth, and harvest cycle, winter, spring, summer, fall. And that just keeps going on. And when we think of these seasons, they mean different things to people. And so because the seasons mean different things to people, the authors are able to weave that, and the writers are able to weave that meaning into their works. So pay attention to the season, because it's both put in there intentionally, and it does have a meaning behind it to help you connect better with the work. That's chapter 20, So Does Season.